In April 2025, the Trump administration kicked off the largest reciprocal tariff policy in history, triggering a trade storm that's now sweeping across the global tech industry. But this is no longer just about tax rates. It's about a geopolitical and economic chess game playing out on a global scale. The policies shift back and forth, the timing is chaotic, and the market is left confused. Companies have no idea whether to move forward or hold back. One moment the US announces changes, the next moment it hits pause. Right now, what businesses need most is someone to clearly explain what's really going on. On the surface, Trump's reciprocal tariff sounds like a way to punish unfair trade practices. But in reality, it's a battle for supply chain dominance. The US is sending a clear message: bring manufacturing back home, redraw the global industry map, and rewrite the rules of trade. What's even more shocking is how this policy storm has been full of strategic surprises from day one. On April 3rd, the US government officially announced the Reciprocal Tariff Plan. On April 5th, they released the revision document, Annex III, confirming the new tariffs on all trading partners. There were exemptions, but the rules were vague and the market was left scrambling. Before anyone could fully react, on April 9th, not even 24 hours after enforcement, Trump suddenly announced a 90-day delay for countries other than China. But make no mistake, this wasn't a retreat, it was a negotiation. That 90-day pause was designed to give other nations time to offer something that would satisfy Trump. Then came another twist on April 11th. The US updated the exemption list, removing certain electronics and semiconductors from the tariff list. Many thought this was another softening of the policy, but the truth is, it was the beginning of a more targeted and higher-risk tech trade war. A new 232 investigation was already quietly underway. Annex III is the amendment to the US Harmonized Tariff Schedule, basically, the rulebook for all these new, eye-watering tariff rates. The most critical part? The addition of Clause the 25th of January 1903. Starting from 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time on April 9, 2025, all goods imported from most countries, or even pulled from US warehouses for consumption, would be slapped with an extra 10% tariff, on top of the original tax rate. Then there are clauses the 26th of January 1903 through 34, which define special exemption rules. From 9903.01.43 to 76, the tariffs are adjusted case by case, country by country. Taiwan shows up in 9903.01.61, and the number there is brutal, a 32% tariff. But before rushing to pay that bill, companies should take a hard look at Clause 9903.01.34, the exemption rule. If at least 20% of a product's declared customs value comes from US content, the US portion can be exempt from the added tariffs. According to TrendForce, US content includes fully sourced in the US, fully manufactured in the US, substantially transformed in the US, meaning imported raw materials or components are processed in the US in a way that changes their form, function, or significantly increases their value. For example, if roasted nuts are processed in a US food factory, then sent to Vietnam for seasoning, packaging, and sold back to the US, and the US origin nuts account for about 28% of the product's declared value, the importer can claim US content under 9903.01.34 and qualify for a partial exemption. Now, qualifying for these exemptions isn't easy, but Trump did leave one more loophole. Alongside the reciprocal tariff announcement, the White House also released an exemption list, and it included consumer electronics and semiconductor-related products. For many Taiwanese companies, that was a relief. Even though Taiwan faces a 32% surcharge, products listed on the exemption list could revert to a 0% tariff. Items like laptops and smartphones are safe for now. But if your factory is in China, the tariff rules might change yet again. Because the list of products is huge, TrendForce has published a detailed breakdown of qualifying products, countries of origin, and applicable tariff rates. If you want the full report, check the video description or click the link above. But the celebration didn't last long. Just 2 days after the exemption list was announced, the U.S. Department of Commerce issued a statement clarifying the electronics and semiconductor exemptions are temporary. A detailed review is underway, and a new semiconductor tariff policy is expected to follow. Analysts believe semiconductors have become the main target in this global trade war, and will likely be singled out for specific tariffs, similar to aluminum, steel, and automobiles. Companies need to stay alert. Looking back at Trump's tariff strategy, two patterns stand out: targeting specific products, targeting specific countries. These patterns reveal what the U.S. government considers core products. Even if a product comes from a USMCA country, Canada or Mexico, if it's a strategic item for national security or critical supply chains, high tariffs will apply. If it's not a core product, the U.S. is happy to see foreign companies set up factories in neighboring countries, with tax perks. But for products involving advanced tech, value-added processes, or final assembly, Washington wants those steps done on American soil. So why bother with an exemption list at all? Analysts believe it's not a goodwill gesture to reduce tariffs, it's a wake-up call for companies to shift their supply chains. Hitting the 20% U.S. content rule is tough, and businesses will face rising admin costs as they split declarations and audit their supply sources. The exemptions are also time-limited. Combined with the 90-day reciprocal tariff buffer period, it's clear this policy isn't a final decision, it's a bargaining chip. If companies want to survive and stay competitive in this chaotic trade war, they must fully understand the details of the revised tariff policies and customs rules. Strategic supply chain planning starts now. Don't waste the buffer period. By the time you're flipping through the fine print, your competitors might have already made their move.